So, right triangles have a right angle, which is a 90-degree angle. And the side across from that right angle is always known as the hypotenuse. So, when we are given two side lengths, we can solve for the third missing one using the Pythagorean theorem. Now, the Pythagorean theorem says a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And c is always our hypotenuse, which again is across from the right angle. I can draw it in here and it always points to it, I like to say. So our A and B are our side lengths of our legs. So it doesn't matter which one is A and which one is B. The only thing that matters is that C is the hypotenuse. So, to be able to use the Pythagorean theorem, it must be a right triangle. So if we are given side lengths for a triangle, we can use the theorem to determine if it is a right triangle or not. Now, like I said, we can also use the formula to find a missing side length. So if we are finding the hypotenuse, we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Or if we rewrote it, we have the square root of a squared plus b squared is equal to c. For finding a leg, again, it doesn't matter if you name it a or b, we would have c squared minus a squared is equal to b squared, which the same thing of that, if we're solving for a, would be c squared minus b squared is equal to a squared. Or we would have the square root of the hypotenuse squared minus the leg squared. That would be equal to our missing side length. So right here, it says, given a right triangle, if side A is 4 inches and side B is 8 inches, what would be the measure of side C, rounded to the nearest hundredth? So right here, step 1. Determine whether we are missing a short side or the long side. So if I look, we have A and B. So where we are missing the long side or the hypotenuse. So now for step 2, we want to substitute in the information given. So I know that A is 4, so I have 4 squared, plus I know what B is, which is 8, so I have 8 squared is equal to C squared. So now I can simplify and solve for my missing side length. 4 squared is 16, and 8 squared is 64. And that is all equal to C squared. So now I have 16 plus 64, which is 80. 80 is equal to C squared. Now, to undo a square, we are using the square root. So here, if I have 80 is equal to C squared, I would take the square root of each side. So let's see, the square root of 80 is approximately 8.944, which would be equal to C. But this said to round it to the nearest hundredth. So I would round this to 8.94. Now for the second example, it says find the missing side length of the given triangle. So we are given the hypotenuse, because remember that's across from my right angle. So 12 would be C, and I'm going to name 7. It doesn't matter if it's A or B, I'm just going to name it A, and the missing side length B. So we are missing the b side. So if I substitute our information into the formula, a I said is 7, so I'll have 7 squared plus b squared is equal to 12 squared. And now I can solve for my missing variable. To isolate b, I would need to subtract this 7 squared from each side. So I would have b squared is equal to 12 squared minus 7 squared. $12 squared is 144, and 7 squared is 49. So if I rewrote this, I'd have b squared is equal to, and I have 144 minus 49, which is 95. So to undo a square, we use the square root. So I have b squared is equal to 95. Take the square root. I would have that b is equal to 9.75.